Hey, and welcome to the Drep and Stone podcast, a podcast where two friends raise a glass and have a conversation. I'm Nick.
I'm Kyle.
Kyle, so, you kind of lingered there.
A little vibrato on that one, yeah. Sorry.
You threw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
In terms of like summer and summer travel.
Yep.
Whenever this episode releases, I mean, people know, like when we record in the summer, time is
mystery
irrelevant.
episode.
I may or may not be across the pond,
right?
But right now, in terms of real time,
I'm
prepping for a relatively large vacation,
right?
In which I am going to the country of my heritage, and that's Scotland.
Oh,
I know.
Right.
Yeah. What are you
It's
thinking?
way off.
Ethiopia.
Djibouti.
Oh well, that's my favorite country. Sorry.
Makes so much more sense. Scotland.
Okay.
Oh, right.
So I'm doing a little bit of a grand tour, if you will.
Yeah.
I'm starting in the southern British Isles, and I'm moving to the northern British Isles.
Where are you starting?
The little like hamlet known as London.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I'm taking
Southern Isles
southern British Isles
of London.
It's southern British-ish.
Yeah, no, man, it is.
Okay.
I don't know if I call it an isle,
Britain is an island.
but London's not.
No.
Yep.
I am starting in London.
Yep.
I'm going to take me a little steam train. It's probably not a steam train.
Locomotive.
Right. Choo choo. I'm gonna take me a train up to Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. Nice.
Yeah. Because it's not
Gaelic.
Sure. Probably. It's not Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
What did I say?
Edinburgh.
Oh,
Something like that.
yeah. Well, that's what
Edinburgh.
it
Bread and butter.
Bread and butter. That's what I have. Bread and butter.
Where that came
Edinburgh.
from? Yeah, I got bread and butter in Edinburgh.
And then we're gonna kind of take a car up through like Aberdeenshire in Scotland and over
Shire.
Over to Loch Ness, or as people know it as Loch Noise. Then we're gonna go to the Isle of Skye. And then anyway, so we're doing a whole thing.
Yeah.
But at some point, towards the end of this grand tour,
Right.
I'm gonna play golf.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Nice.
I was trying to play golf in the Highlands, and it just time wise doesn't work out.
Right.
So I booked a golf resort.
Yeah.
Outside of Glasgow.
Yeah.
Or Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Where I'm going to play right along the River Clyde. So for our friends in that area,
Yep.
You probably know where I'm playing golf. But
Sure.
all of that to say, like I've been prepping for that because it's becoming golf season.
Is it more of a links style course?
It is, yeah. It is a link style course.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the I guess most Scottish golf courses are more like a link style course.
Right.
But it's not like a Highland course has a lot of elevation change.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out for my schedule.
Well, or your game. Like it's
Correct. Thank you.
Because you don't have a lot of experience playing in
Real golf.
Well, no, not real golf, but just like the valleys and stuff of like you're 100 yards above the pin
and listen,
going down.
I looked at one course and it was like there's like 7,000 feet of elevation change. I'm like, that's not for me.
Yeah, I mean, and not that I have a lot, but it's like I did play one time up in New York, and like it's just a different thing.
Oh, buddy.
Like it's way more important to know your yardages.
Yes.
In that kind of a thing.
Well, I was like looking at a flyover of this one course. I'm like, this place is beautiful.
Right.
And like the third hole was a par 5, but it was a par 5 with like 400 feet of elevation change.
Right.
From like I think you're hitting down on the green, and then you actually hit up or hitting down on the fairway and then up to the green.
Yeah.
So like it's massive change. I'm like,
yeah,
this ain't for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, all that to say, because we're getting back into the summer golf season, I've been kind of looking up some stuff, and I found this guy. You've probably seen him. His name is Speed Golf Rob.
Okay.
Speed Golf Rob on Instagram.
Have you seen the pros do all that fancy stuff and just say what in the name of Henry Cotton are they doing? In their golf swings, they're going side to side, up and down and around, ending up with immense power.
A lot of saliva.
A lot of spit. Let me find like an earlier one.
He's an angry elf.
Well, but okay, so his name is Speed Golf Rob. Okay, and he plays golf. He's Irish.
Surely.
And he plays golf while running. So he takes 3 clubs, but like he's playing golf while running. So the dude can do an 18 whole round of golf in like
an hour.
Yeah, an hour. I think at 2 hours, something like that. It's fast by golf standards.
Right.
But like I'm watching this, and like yes, if you Google this guy and you look at his stuff,
2 items that I am going to drive into your brain, Maru.
all of his videos, he's yelling. There's a lot of spit flying, but he's like explaining like how would you hit this ball,
Right.
and like when you skip a stone, like your body position when you skip a stone, that's how you should hit this ball.
Right.
And like it's just for some reason, obviously I haven't played or like implemented any of this, but like it makes sense. And he's just doing it in a stupid way, like yelling just because it's funny.
Right.
But like he's like, if you're gonna hit this tire, how would you hit this tire with this club?
Right.
You're not gonna like do all this fancy stuff. You're gonna do this.
Right.
And he's like, hit the golf ball this way.
Right. And just getting your mind to think of it in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, wow.
Right.
It's nothing that like I've never thought of before, but it's just exactly what you said. It's getting you to think about how do you do this thing that you've done maybe for many years at this point, but think about it in this way.
Right.
He's just presenting it in a funny manner, but think about it in this way. It's just like, wow, that's kind of cool.
If the next time I play golf with you, if you're screaming like this guy,
You're gonna love it even more.
We're gonna break into the beers way quicker than we normally do.
Nick, we haven't left the clubhouse yet. What's wrong?
We're still on the first tee.
First tee. We're waiting to get to the first tee.
You go get the cart. I'm gonna park the car, and then you meet me back here. We'll load up the gloves. Okay.
How pissed do
I'm
you
a
think?
shotgun beer real quick, right here before I even go in.
Yeah, but how funny would that be? Like people that are in front of us or behind
Who
us
we
are
get
like,
paired up with?
God,
Oh my god!
you guys can play through.
Yeah.
What?
Well, let's go. You go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Oh man, that's perfect. That's how we ended up getting
Through our golf
just to
game.
be a twosome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Anyway, so I thought it was funny. Like I the algorithm is showing me that. It's like
Oh, he likes golf and Scotland.
he likes golf, Scotland, and yelling.
We got him.
Here's the
We know
thing.
a guy.
Here's the thing. Oh man, all that to say. You want to drink something?
Yeah. We should probably drink something.
Can we? Let me ask you this: can we continue with the summer of cocktails?
We must, because
Thank God.
that's what we've got planned up for this episode. I mean, I could totally like left turn and we
No,
can
no,
do
no,
something
I-
else. But you want to drink a cocktail?
I do. Yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
yeah, let's go mix up a cocktail.
Okay. Everyone's gonna come along with us and make one, and then we're gonna talk about it. Well, can you tell me what it is?
It's a New York sour.
Oh, I've never had this before.
Well, I've never made it before.
This should be
This
interesting.
will be great.
All right. Well, let's go make it.
Cocktail made.
Got a drink, Kyle. This is pretty.
Yeah.
So, what is the New York Sour?
So the New York sour is basically just a whiskey sour.
Okay.
With a little pour of red wine on top.
Yeah.
So it makes like a little bit of a separation between the colors and everything. Makes a neat little. pretty
It,
little
it like reminds me
landscape.
of a like tequila sunrise in a way.
yeah,
Like it
kinda
has that
reverse or
yeah
something.
or
But yeah,
but it's same kind of color palette.
yeah,
if you
same
will.
kind of concept.
So okay, you've got. I saw you put 2 ounces of bourbon.
Yep.
What bourbon did you use?
For this, no, this was a rye.
Oh, okay.
This was the Michter's rye, single barrel rye.
Ooh, we a little fancy here. Okay.
Yeah,
Then you used you juiced an entire lemon.
I think the recipe called for 3/4 of an ounce. I think I did one full half lemon and then
Yeah.
like partial of another one.
Okay.
And then, but yeah, so there's some lemon juice.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then I saw you put an egg white in
Yeah,
there.
egg white, simple syrup.
Okay, I saw that too. Yeah.
A little bit of simple syrup, egg white. Give it a shake.
Yeah.
Get it nice and frothy, nice and thick and foamy.
Right. Put ice in the shaker afterwards.
Yep. And then ice in the glass.
Yep.
Strain over the ice.
Okay.
Then top that with a little bit of red wine.
Yeah.
I've
Like,
got a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Maybe half an ounce. You were just pouring from the bottle.
Yeah. I mean, just
Yeah.
like, to eye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
pour,
just
pour it over the back of the
not a
spoon,
measure.
which allows everything to kind of like settle on top.
Yeah. Not just dump in there and,
Right.
and end up mixing around.
Yeah.
And then garnish it with a little Luxardo cherry.
Oh man, ain't nothing better than Luxardo. It is fantastically pretty on the nose. because the red wine's a floater. I get a lot of red wine,
Yeah.
but there's like this really nice, crisp, citrusy note.
Yeah. I think the lemon pops through.
It totally does. It's like a bit of a spice though too.
Yeah.
And you didn't add any spices in this, but there's like a bit of a spicy note. That might be from the red wine
Maybe the Luxardo.
or the Luxardo, sure.
Yeah. I got these big, thick ball ice cubes.
Yeah. This is that's the right call.
Yeah, and it wouldn't allow for the cherry to sink to the bottom. So it's kind of just
mine
sitting right there.
sank.
Oh, yours got through.
Yeah, it finally got
Yeah.
got down there. Man. All right. Shall we?
Yeah.
Ooh. See, I think the right sip here is you got to get past the red wine. But
Yeah.
you want to mix the red wine and the actual drink.
Right. Sip it. Take a big enough of a sip that you get some of both. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Not bad.
That's pretty nice. What's nice about it is that it is the bright freshness of a whiskey sour.
Yep.
But then there's that like added jammy note of the red wine.
Sure.
And it adds a ton of complexity.
Right.
Man, that is fun sipping right there.
Yeah. That's a fun little drink. Can't remember where I've had one. I feel like it was probably at the Springs.
Sure.
At Disney Springs. Had one, thought, oh man, that sounds interesting. And got it and absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Like that's a fun drink. I know I want to make that at some point in time.
Well, a whiskey sour is like, it's an easy drink, but it's a really like delicious, bright way to use a darker liquor.
Right.
You know, you think about a whiskey, like a whiskey can be complex. You add that lemon note, it's just like brightens the whole thing up.
Maybe that's a spice is the
Maybe.
rye.
Oh yeah. For sure. I didn't even think of
Right?
that. Yeah. But then you add that like just hint of the red wine on top. And
Yeah.
that totally changes it for the better, I think.
I do too. Like, I've had a few whiskey sours here and there, and they're fine. To me, they're usually a little too tart.
Yeah.
And I think the red wine kind of just adds a little bit of that added sweetness, but just more of a complexity note to it.
Sure.
That just kind of gives it a little bit more of a rounded edge.
Did you say what kind of red wine?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It's a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay. I was like, are you going to say it? Okay. I mean,
I already said it. The listeners knew. They
sure,
were
but
listening. to me.
I forgot.
No, I'm just kidding.
Did the specs, like the original specs, say anything about like you have to use a Cab Sav, or did like Merlot's fine or whatever?
It was more of a sweeter red wine.
Okay.
Was the suggestion? I briefly looked up like what's the best
Yeah.
style of red wine to use for this, and it's like per taste.
Yeah, whatever
kind
you
of
want.
a thing.
Whatever's
Could be a
whatever's
Shiraz,
handy.
could be a Merlot, could be a Cabernet. Yeah, it was just
Sure.
kind of like all over the place.
Okay, I didn't know if there's like a you must use. Gotcha.
Not from what I saw.
Yeah. Yeah, sipping through it a little bit, I think the spicy note, you're right, is from the rye.
Yeah.
And it's like that, not Christmas tree, not like cinnamon, but like something like in between there.
Yeah. Like I said, I this is the Michter's single barrel rye.
Right.
I took a sip of it because it's a brand new bottle, just to kind of. I've had it before. The only time I can actually remember having specifically the Michter's rye was in New York City at a Christmas trip that I had, and like for whatever reason, man, I sipped it, and it's not like I only drink ryes around the holidays, but man, it was very autumnal, winter esque.
Some ryes can do that.
Yeah, for sure. They can give you that cinnamon note that just
Yeah.
kind of works well with
Everything.
anything holiday-ish.
Yeah. Man. What I really, truly love about it is the brightness here.
Yeah,
Truly.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
That's like, that to me is just, whoa, that's great.
for sure. Like it pops. It's got a ton of flavor. It's not one note, and it is refreshing.
Yeah, it is.
I think just because of the lemon brightness.
So that leads me to my next question. Where does this drink fit? Like, where would you have this?
Like this one, I think is kind of like a multi-use cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it could work cocktail hour, pre-dinner,
Sure.
sipping. But I think
brighten up the palate, like you're getting the palate
yeah,
going.
waken your palate. But I
Yeah.
think at the same time, the sweetness added by the red wine could also make it a bit of a dessert
Yep.
cocktail after dinner.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think it's a pool drink. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Like I even though it's bright and fresh, I don't think it's a pool drink.
like the egg white addition is for a whiskey sour is optional nowadays. Like
Sure.
it's one way or the other. It doesn't have to be. I wanted to add it in there just to make it traditional.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah, me too. I think it adds a certain amount of viscosity.
It makes
to
it healthier too. Like you're just adding protein.
Yeah, it's a health drink now. Fruit and protein.
Yeah. Grains. What's not to love?
But I think it does make it a heavier drink.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely not a pool side necessarily, depending on the pool party. I mean, if you're having like, if it's a barbecue,
Sure.
and there's a lot of hefty meats going around.
Okay.
This might could balance that out.
Yeah, I think you're right, but it's not like a, cruise ship hang out by the pool kind of drink.
I don't think it's a, 95-degree day.
Right.
We're out at the pool. I need something refreshing to cool me off. It's a little heavy for that.
Yeah, I think it's too heavy for that kind of pool because it's not quite that refreshing in that way.
Right.
I think you're right. Versatile, all around kind of drink.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it this version anyway.
Yeah.
To me, kind of exists in the spring.
Ooh, why's that?
The florally berry notes from the wine to me suggest more of a spring. The bright lemon. That's just kind of where I'm like ideally placing it.
Yeah.
Certainly, I think it exists for the summer, and it's probably got enough heft to it that it could, survive winter. So yeah, it's a very versatile cocktail.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think what's nice about it is that this is a cocktail that you could give to someone who is not a bourbon and or a rye fan and who just likes cocktails and mixed drinks.
Right.
And they would get this and they'd be like, "Oh, this is fantastic."
Right.
Because it not that it's masking the rye in our case, but it's not rye forward.
Yeah,
it's not
highlighting it
No.
either. Like I think you could do this with bourbon. You could pull this off with scotch.
I think so.
Yeah,
Man, you put a peated scotch in this, that's going to change
What's
it
that
completely.
gonna do? Yeah,
Whoa.
for sure.
Yeah. Almost like, is it a painkiller that has scotch?
Penicillin?
Penicillin, that's
Yeah.
what it is. Penicillin has scotch.
I bought ginger because I want to do it.
Penicillin, so good.
I never had one.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm. We've got ourselves yet another delicious cocktail here. What shall we talk about?
I've noticed a trend post-pandemic that like these things existed pre-pandemic, but I feel like they're on the rise. Okay. And I've noticed these things more lately because I've been booking restaurants and experiences and things like that.
You're talking inflation.
I'm not.
Oh.
I mean, that is a thing. Like,
Yeah.
I recognize that is a thing that the media has made up so that companies feel better about charging people more money, even though they have the same amount of stuff. And they're making more money, which is artificially making everyone pissed off because they think that it's the government that controls these things, but it's actually really not the government that controls these things. And then they also think that it's the president that has a direct influence on any of that kind of
ticker.
stuff.
Like you can just
Yeah,
adjust
like,
it by hand.
Yeah. So I recognize that like people think that this versus like inflation's not artificial, but this like perspective of inflation is actually artificial.
Yeah.
So I've noticed because I'm booking all this stuff for a trip.
Yeah.
I've noticed more late fees or
Interesting.
no-show fees.
Sure.
And I thought it'd be interesting for us to kind of discuss whether or not you've noticed that. And what are your thoughts on the no-show or the late fee?
Okay.
So here's an example. I literally yesterday booked a restaurant experience in London.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to call it a fancy restaurant, but it's a mid-tier restaurant, if you will.
Okay.
Let's say it's going to cost $75 a person to eat there. Okay. And the late fee on this place, like, first of all, I didn't have to put a deposit down to hold the reservation.
Credit card number?
I had to put a credit card number in. But if you showed up to this place, if you did not show up to this place, they charged you £60, so about $75 a person, because you didn't show up on your credit card. You had to put a credit card.
Right.
They don't charge your credit card unless you don't show up.
Gotcha.
Our reservation, let's say, is for 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
If you showed up at 7, they charged you like a £10 late fee up to 7:30, and then you were a no-show or something like that. Like, that's not exactly what it was, but it was some version of tiered thing like that.
Gotcha.
And that caused me to pause, I think, as it should do, of like, do I care enough about this restaurant to possibly incur that fee?
Right.
And am I willing to pay that fee?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of like a multi-layered thing here. First of all, how do you feel about these fees? Are you willing to pay those fees? And like, would that cause you to be like, nah, I'm not going to go to this restaurant just in case something happens, I don't make it. I'm not going to pay the $75 or whatever.
Right. I think you're asking yourself the right questions. And I think you asking yourself those questions is the response that the restaurant wants you to ask.
Okay.
Because they're trying to maximize business.
Sure.
Like it's certainly in places like London, New York, Paris, like big booming metropolitans like that, certainly these places are trying to make as much money as they can.
Right.
And if it is a, mid to upper level establishment, they can only handle so many people a night.
Right.
And if you've made a reservation, you've agreed to, I will be there at this time, they're going to hold that spot for you. And they're going to be turning people away all night long, knowing that you're going to show up.
Because they're thinking we've got money in the bank.
Yes, we have a reservation for this person. So if this person doesn't show up and I'm turning people away constantly, I've lost out on, even if it's just two people, about $140 to $200 worth of services.
Right.
And so they're trying to avoid that. To then charge you the full amount if you don't show up seems a bit extreme to me. Most of the time, from my experience, when I've heard about these things, it's usually substantially lower. It's maybe like a quarter of what you might have spent. But it's something that,
but enough to deter you from, or enough to cause you to pause and think of like, do I want to skip out on that thing?
Yeah, enough of a deterrence to say, you know what, we're over here and we're kind of enjoying what we're doing. Let's just blow off dinner.
Right.
Because obviously the restaurant is trying to avoid that as much as possible and trying to, if you don't show up, recur some of that cost.
Sure.
Because we've been turning people away, and it's not, and then if we do say, all right, that 7:20 reservation didn't show up, we can now take that four top that's outside wanting to come in.
Yeah.
And bring them in, and then you show up 15 minutes late. Well, we don't have a spot for you now because you're late. We can try to squeeze you in now and try to finagle things. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I guess is more or less what I'm trying to say. And if the establishment is willing to say, if you don't show up, we're going to charge you 100% of the possible cost, they're just that confident in themselves to say that we're that good and we're going to get it regardless if you show up or not.
Yeah, and I completely understand, especially like most of these places that are doing that are not, your big multinational kind of corporation restaurants.
Right.
Most of them
not a chain, more than likely.
Right. Most of them are, mom and pop or small franchise kind of things. So you're right. They're trying to recoup lost cost, or really they're trying to prevent lost income.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
So in me, as you said, it's a cause for pause. Do you think that turns away people? They're like, no, I'm not going to go to, even though I think this might be a great experience, I'm not going to put a deposit down or whatever, just in case something happens.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
In most cases, if it does, then certainly that's the point.
Right.
I think that's the point of the restaurant. I remember when we went to DC a few months ago, there was a place that I wanted to go have a dinner at, but they were booked solid. And the day that I was wanting to go, none of the times that they had available worked with our scheduling plans.
Sure.
So, we didn't get to go there. And I think that's just kind of part of it. I think most of these places, if they're putting that kind of a policy in place, they know that either they'll get somebody that walks up and will take the spot of the no-show, but then they also get to charge the no-show, and also we're still going to make our money because we brought in another table. I think they've got it covered.
Yeah. So I just wonder, is this almost a way to punish a patron and instill some sort of loyalty, or at least cognition of don't be late or don't not show up?
I think it's certainly that, but I think it's more so, who doesn't get anything in that late fee charge?
The server.
The server.
Right.
So if you don't show up for the reservation, the server still doesn't get anything regardless in the scenario. So the restaurant wants to be able to fill that spot. Obviously they're trying to provide their product, but it's also, the server is also there for a job.
Right. Maybe, I don't know this because I don't know what that fee then goes to, but maybe they are then giving the server. I kind of doubt it.
No chance, because it's not like they're pre-assigned tables to know who that was going to.
Right.
I guess it could be a situation where they pool the tips and then everybody takes an equal share.
Right.
Could be something like that. That's not an uncommon practice, but I think it is just a thing of, we are booked solid every night.
Right.
We have maximum capacity every night. and we don't want to take lightly the fact that we've agreed to hold you a table and then you didn't show up for it.
Right.
Certainly in an instance of like it was something that couldn't be avoided. You know, we had our flight was canceled. We couldn't get there. Like certainly like that's gonna happen. But at the same time, it's like, well, but that's the risk of like having a guaranteed spot here.
Yeah. So in relation to that, I did
Risk reward.
I did a little bit of Googling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh boy.
And I found this article that kind of speaks to that a little bit. And the article was not only about restaurants, but it was from the perspective of like a barber or a hairdresser. And it was a barber who caters to, you know, I'm not going to say like upper level clients, but a barber who is a little more
bougie.
No, that's not quite it. It's not you're like, you know, go stand in line and wait for the next barber and like you might get the dude you want or the woman you want. It's not that kind of place. It's like you book this out a month out kind of thing.
Right.
So that, you know, you're booking basically every month or every 3 weeks.
You're not
whatever.
Booking with a specific stylist. You're just
you
booking
are
for a spot.
No, you're booking with a specific person. Like you're in this place and like you want that person.
Right.
So that person is relying upon you to be there
right.
for your appointment, whatever it is.
Right.
So this individual that was interviewed for the article basically said like my no-show policy is a $200 charge.
Whoa.
Yeah, which is like something like, you know, 5 times the amount of a haircut or something. I don't know exactly what it was.
Right.
Which is a huge like, whoa.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
A bit much.
This was in Miami too. I don't know if that changes things, but this was in Miami. But then, you know, the whoever was writing the article basically asked like, so what happens if someone is like, again, late because of a plane or something.
Right.
And he said
an emergency.
Yeah. He said, obviously I take that into account. They have to call me. We talk it through. Things happen. He's like, I know life happens. This is the barber talking. I understand life happens, but also like you've now taken money from me. In my mind, I'm like, okay, if your haircut, let's say costs $30, charge the $30.
Right.
Don't charge $200.
Yeah. That makes no sense.
But then like, I recognize that like for some women, like a whole cut and color thing might be very expensive.
Full blowout.
Yeah, easy. So
I think that's a term.
It's a term. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah. If not, people will let us know.
Maybe in the 80s.
No, like
maybe it's not a common thing anymore.
A Brazilian blowout.
Whoa.
Yeah. Woo. But like I recognize that those things can be quite expensive.
Yeah.
Like I see that that's lost revenue for that person.
Yeah.
But also like emergencies happen.
Right.
So then, you know, he was like, the person being interviewed was like, and I recognize that. People just talk to me, we work it out, we move on.
Right.
But also, what is an emergency?
Right.
So then it becomes like, well, an emergency is not like, oh, man, I'm so sorry. I'm stuck in traffic.
Disagree. Yeah.
Like, so then he has the possibility of like, well, that's not an emergency.
Yeah, it's not my emergency.
Yeah, like you left 20 minutes late. Like,
yeah, bummer.
So sad.
Yeah.
You know, so what constitutes an emergency? I think like what this does is it provides the benefit of the person offering the service, but then it also puts the patron in a really awkward situation too, in some cases.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would certainly think that on just about any occasion that something happens and you are given that charge of missing and still paying, it's going to make you second guess, do I return?
Right.
My assumption is most of these places in terms of restaurants don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah.
They're probably high end enough that like
everybody's
trying to get there anyway.
Yeah.
We don't have, you know, our usuals.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have like the local
regular,
clientele
right.
that like comes in every weekend kind of a thing. They're not worried about it. They just need the money to continue doing the thing that they do. I would feel like a barber would be a little bit different in that aspect. I feel like that's a little bit more of a, you know, I don't go on vacation and get a haircut.
Right.
You know, like my business is going to be reliant upon locals and
right. And
repeat customers.
Most people, like a stylist or a barber or whatever, like you find someone you like and like that's who you go to.
Right. So, but at the same time, like if that happened, if my barber was unwilling to understand, bro, like interstate was shut down, I couldn't get here.
Yeah.
And was unwilling to like move on that, cool, we're done, and I'll find another guy.
See, I mean, I see
it
that
kind of depends on the business model and their aspect of it, I guess.
Yeah. I see the upsides and I see the downsides here.
Yeah. I mean, certainly, like, if it's a restaurant that, like, is not necessarily reliant upon travel,
Yeah.
probably a bad policy. But if it is, then I see it making a lot of sense, and it's like a guarantee of, like, we can't, if a flight gets canceled, we can't take a hit for that.
Right.
And I kind of get that too.
I think, like, also, the rise of this comes from like ease of pay kind of things. Like, you can set this up in reservations, and it's very easy to ask for a credit card number. It's very easy to charge your credit card. So it's like all of this kind of like the machinations behind that, I just find really interesting. And like, I mean, not that I would ever do this, but there are gift card credit cards that you can put that number in. And yeah.
Smart.
Not that I would do that, but I'm just saying,
Wink, wink.
as long as it has some money on it, you can do that.
It'll work.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Well, now that I've said that, everyone's like, oh,
I just happen to have a few cents left on that.
Yeah, it's got 13
Starbucks card.
cents. Exactly. No, it's got to be one of those like Visa cards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Amex.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so just thought, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, what is going to be the outcome of this, or how do we deal with all of this? And I don't know that there's an answer.
I don't either. I mean, I think it is one of those things of just, like, you know, if it's a travel situation, you just have to, like, put that into the account of how badly do you want to eat at this place? Is it worth that risk of something happens that day? It's pouring down rain. I don't feel like getting out and going over to the restaurant, but crap, if we don't,
$150.
We're still paying for it either way. So, like, in all honesty, like, the restaurant probably, like, you know, benefits from that.
Sure.
In terms of, all right, well, it's giving us, if they take it in the right light of, like, well, it's giving us an opportunity to still impress with what we can do.
Right.
We're that confident that our experience is that good that we're willing to make you come out in the weather and still enjoy your meal.
Yeah.
And we're going to crush it.
Then you better crush it. Or that haircut better be the best damn haircut I've ever had.
The barber I don't get. I can't justify that one. I really can't justify that one. That one's a little different to me because, again, you're not talking about the one-off
right
person.
More likely
you're
than
talking
not.
about people who
You're building a relationship
yeah,
with.
you're trying to say, like, these are my people. They
Right.
come to me. Like, that one I don't get. You got to have a little bit more leeway, I feel like.
I think so too.
Yeah.
On that note, you got anything else?
No, I don't think so.
No, me neither. I have nothing left in my glass either.
I know. About halfway down, I thought, do you put a little floater on top?
I thought about that. What would you float?
Probably just more rye
I think so.
and just let that sing through.
yeah, just like, but like not a big splash, just like a little.
You know what I also thought was, like, halfway down?
What's that?
This might would crush with, like, a salt rim on it.
Yeah, maybe.
I was kind of getting there, like, like the sour.
What would that do? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was almost kind of thinking, like, maybe like a little salt would do the thing.
Well, we'd love to know, what do you think about a New York sour?
Yeah, you ever had one? You ever tried one? Let us know about it. What was your experience?
And what is your whiskey sour experience? What is your favorite whiskey to use in a whiskey sour?
Nice.
Yeah. We'd also love to know, what do you think about no-show and or late fees?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a part of everything. You know, everything requires a gratuity nowadays.
Yeah.
It doesn't require it, but everything asks.
Everything asks for it. That's
Yeah.
a whole nother thing. Don't get me started.
Yeah, gotta get those vending machines.
What?
Optional gratuity.
No.
They work hard, man.
Oh, man. Don't even. Well, we'd love to know what you think. You can get in touch with us through email. It's drepandstone@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with us through social media.
It's always one word, Drep and Stone, DREP and Stone. Find us anywhere that you're socializing your media. We'll be socializing some too, and we'd love to interact with you.
For sure. And if you're making cocktails this summer, let us know what you're drinking.
Yeah.
Just a simple pic, tag us in it, and we'd love to see it.
kaboom.
Yeah. We'd also love it if you support the podcast. You can do so in a myriad of ways. First way,
Yeah.
you can rate Drep and Stone wherever it is you find great podcasts like this one.
Man, we love thumbs ups, stars, recommendations, kind words.
Way number 2,
Yeah.
you can support us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Drep and Stone. Helps keep the AC on.
Yeah, and you get to see the secret content.
Steamy stuff.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah. Only for our fans.
When we remember to post stuff. You can also support us and support yourself by grabbing yourself a couple of bottles on Flaviar, flaviar.com, and you use the promo code DSP10, DSP10.
Yeah.
It saves you a little bit of money and helps further the podcast.
Yeah, and you get to try new stuff.
Exactly. We just got a delivery from Flaviar not that long ago.
Love it.
It was full of scotch and some bourbon.
I mean, all good things.
Ain't nothing wrong there.
Love it.
You can also support Drummond Stone by telling someone about the podcast.
Yeah, just spreading the news. Hey, this is a great podcast. They do really cool cocktails. Give it a listen.
And you put that all in a tattoo on your upper leg. So when you're at the beach,
Inner thigh? Outer thigh?
Yeah.
Outer thigh. More people are going to see it.
Sure.
Inner thigh is going to be
But
a
the
more
people that matter
connection.
are going to see it. Correct.
But outer thigh is more.
Yeah, more people are going to see it, but the people that matter is inner thigh.
Yeah.
Whew. On that note,
Yeah?
may your glass overflow.
And your ass never show. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Oh, so much better. I'm like,
It's like
you got a
dilation
halo
now.
around you. I'm like, sorry.
Have a good dance, class. My dude. Yeah, you know I will.
We're dancing right now.
I got the moves like Jagger.
Number
Why
one.
do you have 3 loops on that shoe? What's happening there?
What are you talking about?
Oh, you stuck that shit in the hole. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah.
Like, he's got 3 loops on that shoe. I've got a spare Dune popcorn bucket.